Hello, good morning, and welcome back to our renovation project and to a long-awaited update on what we've been doing over the last few months. And this video is really the culmination of a project that has been taking place over at least 6 months, maybe even more. And so today we're going to show you what we've been up to, and we're going to answer the question, did we fix our damp problem? Now, if you're new to the channel or you have no idea what I'm talking about, you may be interested in the previous video that we did, which was a bit of a flashback on some of the problems that we've had here in terms of water, damp, moisture, levels, drainage, stuff like that. So you might want to go and check that out before you watch this. It will make a little bit more sense. But today we're going to go through some of the things that we've been doing recently. Some of them have been film worthy, some of them less so, but we'll give you a bit of an update on what's been going on. So let me show you.
Oh, I can almost see you hiding in the shade down here.
Yeah, it's a bit chilly under there.
It is a bit chilly today.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi. So we started this project last year with our biggest priority to get a flushing toilet upstairs, which meant doing the water. And as part of doing that, we uncovered a whole host of other problems, but we finally got around to putting in a new water feed. So, in my magic little cupboard here.
I call it the water closet. So this is about as close to a bathroom as we have.
Yeah. So this is the old feed that was coming in, and it was feeding just this line, and then I've split it and we've now got two. So no, Coco, this is not for you. This is the new line that's going down into our utility room, what will be our utility room, and will eventually feed the toilet. And this is the current line. We still need to use that because it's their only source of water until we get the inside plumbed.
Can you explain why you built a tiny shed around your DIY manifold?
I wanted to get a proper manifold, the brass ones, but they're super expensive and I actually couldn't find them here. When we went to the plumbing shop, he actually had some fittings, this fitting particularly, which was this massive thing, so I opted to do this. I'm not too sure that these are particularly UV resistant, and the sun here has a lot of bite, and this is right south facing, so I built this little cupboard to protect it. Eventually we will remove this and we will build a bigger concrete
like a brick shed.
Yeah, that will have more fittings in this because we're going to put another feed eventually for our outbuildings as well. So it's a temporary thing, but works really well. Sometimes. Not perfect, but it works. So that's the water feed, and it goes down into what used to be the trench that we dug, which you will now see is no longer a trench. Well, This part is a trench, but this part is not a trench.
Can you also explain the levels a little bit?
This is the old outside level. That is too high because it's higher than our inside floor level. So this will be our new ground level when we come to landscape it. And we can put on top of this 100 millimeters of finishing, which will be calçada and sand and whatever it needs as a base. This is another project. It has to be cut down at a 45-degree angle. I'm working on that in my head, and I have an experiment that I'm going to do shortly that should make this solution a little bit easier. This and all of this still has to be taken down to this level, but this will be the eventual subfloor level, let's call it, and hopefully next year we'll get a digger in to excavate the rest of this and lay a new floor, outside floor, external floor.
Floor, ground, landscaping, I don't know, something like that.
So in addition to the water feed that runs in the trench below the gravel down here, the other big piece of work that we had to put in was a French drain to try and redirect some of the groundwater and surface water away from the house. We've got some footage of us putting that in, so let's play that and show you what we did there.
So the French drain is a fairly simple solution to redirecting water, and it involves a big blanket called a geotextile and a very long, unwieldy perforated pipe and some river rocks which we had delivered from a builder's merchant nearby. But before we could start installing this, we first had to go and backfill a lot of the other pipes that we'd laid into our trench, the rainwater harvesting pipe, for example. So we double-checked all the levels again and then bedded it in on some sand to make sure no sharp rocks put any holes into our pipe. And once we'd done that, we could start the process of laying the French drain.
The rocks that are coming out, right? Yeah, sorry. I didn't know if you meant the pebbles or the rocks.
And whilst the French drain is a fairly simple thing, that didn't make it easy to wrangle around all the geotextile and to deal with all the rocks. In fact, the rocks were a surprisingly fiddly and frustrating part of this whole process. I'll let Kylie explain.
Guy thinks I'm a little bit crazy on this one, but I think that this is one of those times when, number one, we don't know what we're doing, so we don't know if we need to do this, and I would rather err on the side of caution, which is we got a load of river rocks delivered, and the advice is to have geotextile in a French drain so that no silt and muck gets in there. So we're going to have geotextile in the trench, but also around the sock. And when this was dumped on the ground, there was a whole cloud of dust that came up, and it made me think that any silt that's on these rocks would then clog the sock that goes around the pipe. So I thought that the best way to deal with that would be to wash the rocks. But 3 cubic meters of river rocks is quite difficult to wash. So I started with just hosing them down to see whether that made them look clean. So let me just show you. And I can see it's definitely washing off some of the silt. You know, I look at it and I think, yeah, they're pretty washed. But then I put some into a bucket and I proved to myself that actually that doesn't wash them. So the strategy now is to spoon from there into here, then use this to scoop them out. This has a hole in the bottom. I might need to put some more holes in here. Use it as a sieve, effectively scoop them out, stick them in the wheelbarrow, and then they can go into the French drain.
So this system worked, but it was very slow, very manual, very time consuming, and not ideal. So the next day we came up with a small variation, which was to use a couple of crates and to wash the rocks over the top of those, catching the water underneath, which we could then recycle for a few times. And that was better and faster, but then we came up with an even better approach, which was to chuck the rocks in the crate and dunk them in the water, put them in and out a few times, and then be done. So it was still very laborious, but eventually we came up with a system that worked and got the job done.
Better?
Yeah, better. Just as exhausting though.
So we dialed in the washing of the rocks, but when it came to packing the rocks around the pipe, we discovered a problem with how we'd approached the whole geotextile thing. We'd cut it to size so that we had the same amount on each vertical and as an overlap on the top. But because our trench was so high on the left-hand side, where we had to dig down the concrete path, it meant that it wouldn't hold itself open. So we had to have two people, one holding open the geotex and one person pouring in the rocks. And it was a little bit fiddly until we got about halfway down the building where we had realised the error of our previous ways. But just like with the washing of the rocks, we eventually got it all done, and we could fold the geotextile over, lock it in place with a couple of stones so it didn't blow away or open up, and then eventually fill it over the top with some more rocks and some gravel. So, simple, but not easy, and whenever you're doing anything for the first time, it always takes a little bit to work out the best way to approach things, but this is another project ticked off the list.
So that's the French drain in. In the future, we will come and landscape out here as well and probably dig a little soakaway along the side of the wall so that the water has somewhere to go. But for the time being, it works perfectly. We've had quite some rain recently and the water drains away really nicely. So doing what it's meant to do.
So the French drain was a big part of the whole thing, in addition to the rainwater pipe that runs in the same trench. And there were a couple of small updates, a few outstanding bits and pieces with the guttering. In fact, when we put in this guttering, which I think was September 2021, we were missing one part. One of the little angles at the top there, they gave us the wrong angle. They gave us a 90 rather than a 67, I think. And the company that we bought all of this stuff from has still not, 6 months later, been able to deliver that part. But we went somewhere else and managed to find a couple of bits. So all of the downpipes are now in, and we've got the hoppers installed. We used some lime to cement them into place, or lime them into place, I guess. Bed them into place. A mortar bed of lime was used to put them in place so they don't move. When we connected all the pipes together and then backfilled all of the trenches. This one is slightly different to the rest because it goes right the way into the gully. The rest of them just have a little terminal on the end. And eventually we are going to be redoing the guttering in aluminium, and it will go all the way around the house. At the moment it just does 3 sides, but the drainage system that is in place to capture the rainwater was the most important thing to get in place. We still need to finish some stuff off with that. We need to build a tank system and a filtration system and a pumping system. That's something that we're going to be doing a bit later on. But let me just show you a couple of things with these drainage gullies to show you how they work, and a couple of bits that we needed to retrofit. So the water comes out obviously and goes into this. We had to buy these grills separately because this system didn't come with any, and they were too big, so we had to kind of cut them to size, and then we turn them upside down so they fit in there nicely. So that's kind of goes like that, and then in here this flips up. And we've got a little, oh look at that, it's working perfectly. A little baskety thing with some tights on it to stop any crap getting into the drainage.
That crap must have been when you backfilled it.
It was probably when I backfilled the around the gully, yeah. Oh, see, I'm just making a mess again. Oh, it's not easy with one hand, but you get the idea. There we go, beautiful. So it's almost time for the big reveal to find out if this actually worked, but there are a couple of other things we can show you in the meantime.
So the first thing is we filled in all of the pipe work that we had exposed here, and the rainwater pipe that goes all the way down to the big hole that we dug. And you may notice behind me there is lots of earth here. This is a little bit of a sneak peek on the current project that we're working on, which is digging out the ground floor. And let me tell you, we're digging out a lot of earth.
Mm-hmm.
the hole's still there and it hasn't caved in.
Our pipe end's just down here, and it's got the same kind of solution to the French drain. There's a whole load of pebbles on it. I put some big rocks here to hold the pebbles in place, and again the water drains really well.
Oh, we also put like a mesh taped to the end of it to stop
make
any.
sure no moles, voles, insects, anything crawls up into our rainwater pipe or into our French drain. God knows why they do that. Interestingly, we have had quite some rain, and we've seen it collect in here, and then it nicely soaks away. So it's doing its job as well.
But this is not finished. There will be a
This is
tank.
definitely not finished. And we're hoping that we get to this project next year before it collapses back in on us and have to dig it out again.
Very good. Okay, should we show them inside?
Let's go inside
and see if everything worked.
Oh, there's one more thing we have to do, which is
so much teasing.
Some footings that we did.
Ah, yeah, we can show them that at the same time.
So, last year I dug out this floor, and in doing so, first of all, we removed the concrete floor that was on top, and then I dug down, and in doing so we discovered that this red brick wall, which is just an infill, it's not structural, it's not holding anything up, there's a big lintel at the top. This red brick wall was built straight onto the earth, just like this. So nothing below the bottom layer of bricks, just sitting straight onto the earth, which was always going to be a problem in terms of moisture coming up and in. So what we did, and we didn't film it because we didn't know if it was going to work, we just excavated down. Oh, how do I explain this? So we know that our finished floor level is going to come up to this mark here, and this is why I was really worried, because the subfloor slab would have come lower than this brick, so there would have been earth exposed, and then there would definitely have been a path for water to travel in. So we had to do something, at least in this corner, because down in that corner it doesn't have the same height issue. So we decided to excavate down beyond the bottom of the subfloor, and then we have filled this in with natural lime, so NHL5. Worked really well, so we went halfway through the depth of the brick, or almost the whole depth of the brick from this side, filled it in from this side, put this little edge on it, and then did the same thing from the other side after excavating around all the earth. And it's worked a treat. And what will happen is when we put our limecrete floor in here, so insulation, the subfloor will kind of come up to here, and then there'll be this bit left for the finished floor. So if you think 100 for the finished floor and then 100 for a slab.
Very good.
So yeah, we surprised ourselves with this one, and it only took 2 half days, I think.
So the big question is, did we fix all the damp issues? And the slightly anticlimactic answer is, yeah, we did. So it's done. It's fixed. What are you laughing at?
And we have had the last couple of weeks it's been raining quite a bit.
Yeah.
And it is dry as a bone in here. Really, really, really happy. The lime here hasn't fully cured yet. It'll take.
It's quite thick, so
Yeah.
it's going to take a while to fully dry and fully harden. But yeah, that is. It was kind of the last piece of the puzzle. We do still have to do the same thing along this side as well and fill in under this door. But yeah, a combination of all the things that we put in place: the guttering on the roof, the French drain, filling in under this wall. What else? The floor levels outside. All of that together has helped us solve the problem. It's no longer wet underfoot in here. We still have stuff growing in some places. There's a little weed growing under the door. But yeah, we're really pleased that we've finally broken the back of this. It was a 6-month-long slog with lots of digging.
But it's been really worth it. Yes, it was hard work and it took a long time, and I know a lot of people have been waiting for this update. But having seen the rain come and see the French drain work and see the water coming out of the rainwater pipes and not see any water come in here, just goes to show that we made the right decision to do all of that work. I actually think maybe we could have got away with not doing the French drain, But since we had...
But we were digging the trench for the rainwater harvesting
exactly,
anyway.
we had the trench anyway. So what we haven't finished is this last piece, which is why there's a hole in the wall, which is the grey water. So we're hoping to get to that in the next few months. And we've started, like I was saying, the digging now in the other rooms, like this room, to be able to put our floor in down here.
So there we go. Success in the groundworks department, which is very good indeed. So we can move on to other projects. And of course, we will bring you those so you can follow along with the progress and see what happens as we eventually turn this old farmhouse into a home. So thanks for watching. We will see you in the next one. Bye for now.